The only question that I have is why was Spotify in the background? So if you heard Brian Adams' Here I Am in the background, do want to apologize for that. But ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Rockingham Speedway to get prepped up for race number 2 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. And it is going to be from the Rockingham Speedway, the Verizon 400. It's gonna be, I feel like it's gonna be a pretty good and solid race here tomorrow night. But we're gonna run holding the qualifying sessions during the daytime, which is definitely going to be a pretty interesting adjustment to say the least, from just qualifying during the daytime and then heading over into the night when we go racing tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Well, before we end up getting to, of course, the setting the starting lineup for the 42 car field, obviously we have to figure out the 6 part-time drivers that will end up racing in tomorrow night's race. Of course, the 14 part-time cars that attempted to get into the Daytona 500, they're all here and they are ready to go, including our Daytona 500 winner in Martin Nixon. This is actually going to be a pretty interesting race, a pretty interesting day to say the least when it comes down to qualifying. Well, I will also say, before these cars end up rolling out, we did end up interviewing a couple of drivers, of course, newcomers to the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, that being Bobby McGuire and also Janiah Hill for McGuire Motorsports, and we ended up getting some words from them, so let's go ahead and play that segment for you.
Hey everyone, Bobby McGuire, team owner and driver for McGuire Motorsports here. With my driver, Janiah Hill. I'm sure you guys are all excited for the upcoming race this week.
Well, of course, for you guys, this is your first time in WRLA Pepsi Cup competition.
Yep.
And, for just a first time, like a startup team for McGuire Motorsports, you have to keep in mind there's a lot of other startup teams, that have come from different organizations over the years. What does it mean to you to bring a team together and go after an organization that is just coming back for the first time in 2 years?
It feels good. I want to say, we're not full-time, but we're participating in every race this year, hoping to go to full-time next year. But really want to help bring that resurgence back in. It's been gone for 2 years. Want to help be that push forward to keep people going and watching, and starting back up, get a new team going. Let's help drive that momentum forward and continue it on for the rest of the season.
Now, I do actually want to bring this up because this is actually pretty interesting. The both of you ended up making the clash, of course, with Janiah Hill winding up not only finishing second in her heat, which moved her on to the main event, but also saw her winning.
Yep.
But you, of course, also facing the consequences of also being lapped by Janiah Hill.
That did happen.
And there's Janiah Hill getting to the inside of Bobby McGuire. McGuire goes really wide, and he officially goes one lap down to Janiah Hill. Oh boy, I'm curious to know what exactly is going through the mind of Bobby McGuire right now. He just got lapped by his girlfriend there. That's actually something.
Janiah, I gotta ask you, what's it like lapping your boyfriend who's also your boss?
To be honest, I'm gonna say it felt great. What am I gonna say? A little competition can't help, it doesn't hurt.
How about this? This kind of comes full circle here as McGuire is trying to chase down his girlfriend to get back on the lead lap from the 13th position.
There's also, of course, after the clash, we go to Daytona. And, of course, with this high that McGuire Motorsports was riding on, especially with Janiah's pure dominance at the Coliseum.
Yep.
And then going from this triumph to tragedy where, unfortunately, the both of you had to wound up racing to the duels. Unfortunately, didn't make the 500.
And Josiah Munsell wins duel number 1. He transfers on along with Gabriel Wanderley both drivers will race in the Daytona 500 this Saturday. But if you're Janiah Hill, if you're Addison Jarrell, Jordan Sumner, just to name a few here in this heat in this duel that had to race their way in. Nikki Fox currently 8th, and that's not something that McGuire wanted. Zachary Fitzwater works his way to the inside. That puts him in the second groove, and here comes Fitzgerald to try to take that transfer spot away.
I gotta ask, to not make the Daytona 500, that's gotta be gut-wrenching.
Oh, it was not fun, especially as a driver and an owner side, both cars not making it. Janai, give her credit, she almost pierced that bubble on their duel. Like what, 1 lap to go?
At least.
You know, I got shuffled out pretty early in the duel, and that was that. But I could just feel my stomach slowly dropping, and my stomach dropped when Janai didn't make it. And then I had to get right back up because I'm about to go drive, right? So I let it drop for a second. I'm like, well, it's not over. We still got a chance. With me going out there, just got shuffled out. And as I watching the cars pass me, as I'm getting shuffled out, my stomach's dropping more and more and more. And well, it's all right. It's always next year. It took what, Dale Earnhardt, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, something like that?
At least 20.
To get his first 500 wins, so we got a long way to go. Brand new team, first year racing in the Cup, came from dirt, so we'll be good. Maybe we'll do a 50% win rate at Daytona by winning next year.
I gotta ask, obviously this segment's gonna be airing just a little bit before qualifying starts.
Yeah,
Qualifying's
in like 2 hours, 3 hours.
This might even air before the race of Rockingham starts.
Okay.
So, whether if you guys make it or not, if you do make this race, or even in the future,
yeah,
how do you both see McGuire Motorsports growing and expanding throughout the rest of 2025 heading into 2026?
Well, obviously, flirting with the idea of picking up a third car when we go full-time next year. Just expand the operation a little bit. Obviously, it depends on how we do, this season and how we're looking next season. Maybe in 2027, picking up a third car. Basically, just, keep the car clean, keep going down the road, and, yeah.
Well,
get more wins.
Well, that sounds about perfect. Janiyah, Bobby, I do want to thank you guys so much for your time. And as for everybody else, you can catch race number 2 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series at the Rockingham Speedway tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time live on Twitch. With that said, let's get to the qualifying.
And surely going to be very interesting, to say the least, here for McGuire Motorsports. They do have a second chance to try to get into a Pepsi Cup Series race, as well as many other chances throughout the 2025 season coming into, of course, starting here tonight at the Rockingham Speedway to try to get into this race. They are sitting on pit road. They are ready to go. And for these drivers, they have 15 minutes on the clock to lay down a pretty quick lap. And remember, it is the top 6 that wound up making it in. So it should be pretty interesting to see how these drivers are going to tackle this racetrack and tackle the cloudy conditions and try to get their, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But regardless of the fact, these drivers are going to be aiming for that top 6 to get into the show. Looking at Kyler Sustry here in the number 16. First lap on the board is going to be a 23.930. 2/1000ths of a second back. That's going to be Ryan Gondola. There's Michael DeFeo, who wound up not only making the Daytona 500 last week, but also won the pole for the Great American Race, but didn't have himself a good run until after that one and only round of green flag pit stops, which set him back quite a ways, and unfortunately, definitely was not something that he wanted. So they're going to try to rebound here for the second race of the season here at the Rockingham Speedway. Slide Nikki Fox. with a 23.519. She just improved her lap by a good 0.8. And Bobby McGuire jumps to second on the charts with a 23.540. So things are looking pretty good for McGuire Motorsports to start out in Bobby McGuire. And now, at this rate, that top 6 is going to start changing up a little bit as McGuire goes to the top with a 23.469. How about that? Good job here for Bobby McGuire. Getting up inside of the top 6, Kyler Sustry goes back to the top with a 23.461. And these times are just going to continuously change until we get later on into the session, where it is going to be a little bit tougher to try to gain or pick up positions as far as fast laps go. But speaking of fast laps, McGuire goes back to the top, 23.440 for the Interstate Batteries machine. This thing unloading off the truck is bad fast. 3/1000ths of a second back. That is Chase McClure with a 23.443. Michael DeFeo goes to the top with a 23.411. With the 440, of course, that's McGuire. The 443, that is Chase McClure. The 461, that's Kyler Sustry. Travis Crampton, 5th with a 471. And Ryan Gondillo, car number 51, did hold on to the final transfer spot, but that has changed drastically as Jordan Sumner to the second position with a 23.423. Rayatikian now holds on to the bubble position with a 464 to his name. And he is 7/1000ths of a second. He was actually 7/1000ths of a second ahead of Travis Crampton, but he jumps to third with a 23.424, kicking McGuire back to fourth. So even though McGuire is now at the bottom half of the top 6, he definitely is not out of this thing. Gonna need to hope and pray that that he's able to hold on to a top 6 spot here in the next 10.5 minutes. Of course, coming to pit road to try to get some adjustments here on this Interstate Battery Chevrolet. Of course, Bobby McGuire, he did note that he is definitely looking to go full-time next year, try to acquire a third car. There are speculations going around. They're not 100% official just yet, but there are some speculations going around that with acquiring a third car currently in the works, the third driver, they are eyeing Nia Steidel as their third driver. So it is going to be an interesting story to keep track of as this season progresses, if the news does end up getting confirmed, and it'll be interesting to see what McGuire Motorsports is able to put together heading into 2026. They are very optimistic about going full-time next year, and that could very well be the case as the season goes on, but more is to come as this season is still very, very young. Top 6 currently goes as follows here. Of course, DeFeo still holds on with his 23.411. It has remained untouched. 2/1000ths of a second back. That is Joshua Cornish, looking to make his first Pepsi Cup Series start since 2020, since Daytona of 2020. Then running third, that is the 20 of Jordan Sumner with a 423, 1/1000ths of a second back. That is Rayatikian with a 424. Trying to make his first Pepsi Cup Series start since Kansas Speedway back in 2023. Bobby McGuire still holding on to 5th with a 440, but 3/1000ths of a second back from him. That is Chase McClure, currently holding on to that final transfer spot. Then we look at the drivers that are below the top 6. Outside looking in as of right now, that is Nikki Fox, currently 7th with a 454 to her name. Then Kyler Sustry, 8th, currently sitting on pit road with a 461. Travis Crampton with a 471 in 9th. And then Josiah Munsell completes the top 10 with a 487. Then there's Ryan Gondillo with a 497. 1/1000th of a second back. That's Janiah Hill with a 498. So things not looking too good here for Janiah Hill. But hey, if Hill isn't able to make it, McGuire currently holds on to a transfer position to get into tomorrow night's race from here at the Rockingham Speedway. It would definitely be awesome to see a McGuire Motorsports car in a Pepsi Cup Series race for the first time. Of course, we had the Clash, but that was a non-points race. And given the fact that, of course, all these drivers are ineligible for the Drivers' Championship, remember, they can still contribute to the Manufacturers' Championship in regards to how many points that they can rack up throughout each and every single race. So they do have a little bit of contribution when it comes to some form of points. Coming up on 7 minutes remaining. So far, no changes in the top 10 as of right now. But of course, Janiah Hill again, 498. Martin Nixon, our Daytona 500 champion, not looking too hot right now. From riding the highest of highs, now currently the lowest of the lows with a 23.5. That is obviously not a good lap here for, not a good time for Martin Nixon. And then, of course, completing the top 14 car field in this here in this qualifying session. That is Ajax Fitzgerald with a 513 all to his name. Of course, all these drivers are within that 23-second bracket. More specifically, all these drivers are within 23 seconds, of course, all the way down to Janiah Hill. They're all in the 23.4 second bracket as of right now. But no changes as of right now in the top 6. Again, want to know that, but they give us a little bit of time to talk about some other drivers, as of course with Joshua Cornish. Now, this is basically what is left of Q-Man Motorsports. Of course, Quentin Moore wanted to remain full-time in Pepsi Cup Series racing. He was originally going to have this car to run part-time. Well, he was originally going to have this car in the Cup Series. He wanted to stay in Cup. I want to rephrase. He wanted to stay in Cup, but he was going to have to run part-time in this series with his own team, but of course, he found a better deal with Durrani Racing in order to stay full-time in the Pepsi Cup Series. He had to sell off his assets to Joshua Cornish, who was poised to get back behind the wheel of a Pepsi Cup car in some fashion. And here is the number 89, of course, Joshua Cornish in the Racing with Jesus Chevrolet. Currently, as of right now, with 5 minutes to go, in a very good spot to make his first Pepsi Cup Series race. Of course, he is 30/100ths of a second ahead, or 31,000ths of a second currently ahead of Chase McClure, who holds on to the final transfer position. Of course, again, no changes in the top 6 still, which is actually kind of mind-blowing. But then again, not really, because we have seen at least one driver who would be at the bottom of the scoreboard eventually put down a time quick enough to get them into the show, especially at the very tail end of these sessions. So it's not quite over yet, because any of these drivers could still get in. Of course, Nicky Fox could still get in. Ryan Gondillo in the 51 could still get in and make his first Pepsi Cup race since Kansas in 2023. But it is going to be very interesting as to the final 4 minutes go. Of course, Michael DeFeo looking to try to keep his momentum up and try to get into his second consecutive Pepsi Cup Series race. Of course, for Michael DeFeo, he was originally full-time back in 2017, but of course, unfortunately, wound up in some legal issues. Ended up getting suspended from WRLA. That's when we had realism in WRLA, of course, hardcore realism with calling drivers to the haulers and suspensions and fines and whatnot. But of course, since we've done away with that part of realism, Michael not McGuire, but so of course Michael DeFeo came back to the Pepsi Cup Series after completing the Road to Recovery program. Unfortunately, had to scale back to part-time. This is currently where he's been ever since, but looking to try to get back to full-time competition for 2026. And he's got the sponsorship backing, of course, with Buffalo Motorsports. He's definitely rebuilt the team right back to where it is right now, and he's definitely got himself a really good shot at, of course, trying to make yet another Pepsi Cup Series race. So, of course, a very good job here for the number 60 machine of Michael DeFeo to try to keep this momentum up, and he's taking full advantage of it. And he just passed the driver holding on to the final transfer spot. Still, as of right now, that 423, 443 has remained untouched as Chase McClure barely hangs on to the final transfer spot. 11 one-thousandths of a second ahead of Nikki Fox with her 454. She is on the outside looking in. But definitely very, very interesting here is Janiah Hill, of course, sitting on pit road. Really, unfortunately, no improvements for her. She currently sits on pit road with her 498. So definitely things not looking up here for Janiah Hill, especially after her win at the Clash over in the LA Coliseum at the very beginning of the season. She's going to get ready to get back out and try to put down a couple more laps before the session is over and try to do the best she can to finish out the session strong. And if she is unable to put down a fast enough lap between now and the end of the session, gear up for Las Vegas. But as far as for Bobby McGuire goes, he's still 5th on the charts with his 440. So unless if one of these drivers outside of the top 6 end up somehow putting together a fast enough lap to get them in the show, McGuire is in a very good spot to make his first Pepsi Cup Series appearance. Of course, this is not counting the Clash at the LA Coliseum. This would be his first points-paying race, first appearance in a points-paying race for the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, so you could still technically say it would be his Pepsi Cup Series debut. With 30 seconds on the clock, one driver has managed to get his way up into the top 6. That's Ryan Gundillo with a 23.434. That puts Bobby McGuire on the bubble spot. And that knocks Chase McClure out. But McGuire, or Ryan Gundillo, I should say, very good lap. And that's going to put him in the show as of right now. 30, at least, yes, 23 seconds on the clock to put down one more solid lap. Let's see what happens here. 15 seconds to go. I just don't think it's going to be enough to knock any of these drivers down a position or even out of the top 6. So it is official as of right now. Your top 6 that will move on will be DeFeo, Cornish, Sumner, Atikian, Ryan Gundillo, and Bobby McGuire barely holds on to the final transfer spot. He will race in tomorrow night's second Pepsi Cup Series event from here at the Rockingham Speedway. As for drivers such as Chase McClure, Nikki Fox, Sustry, Crampton, Josiah Munsell, Janiah Hill, Daytona 500 winner Martin Nixon, and of course Ajax Fitzgerald. Unfortunately, those drivers will have to gear up and get ready for Las Vegas next week. But man, that is such a shame for all those other drivers, top 7 from 7th on down. Some of them had really good times to open up the session, but unfortunately were not able to keep up. But of course, congratulations to Michael DeFeo. He makes his second Pepsi Cup Series appearance on the season. Cornish, it is his first since Daytona in 2020. For Jordan Sumner, it would be her Pepsi Cup Series debut, so that means 2 Moonstar Enterprise cars will be racing tomorrow night. For Atikian and Ryan Gundillo, it is their first Pepsi Cup Series start since Kansas in July of 2023. And for Bobby McGuire, it is his Pepsi Cup Series debut and the first race for McGuire Motorsports. So definitely a huge, huge success story for all these 6 drivers. They will be racing in tomorrow night's race from here at the Rockingham Speedway, race number 2 on the season. And that's awesome. That is honestly really cool to see. And we're going to take a quick break, ladies and gentlemen, to get the 42 car field set up. And when we come back, it will be Pepsi Cup Series knockout qualifying from here at the Rockingham Speedway to set the starting lineup for tomorrow night's Verizon 400 here at the Rock. Don't go away, folks. We'll be back.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at the Rockingham Speedway getting ready for qualifying from here for the second race of the season here at the Rock. So here's how our qualifying sessions are going to go here to set the starting lineup. It is going to be 3 rounds of knockout qualifying. Of course, round 1 seeing 42 cars on the racetrack. Top 24 advance on. Round 2, we'll see the top 12 advance on, and those 12 drivers will be fighting for the pole in the final round, and the rest of the starting lineup for the top, well, at least for the top 12. First car on the racetrack, that is the number 97 of Nathan Stapleton. Didn't get his season started off on the right foot, heading in here to the 2025 season. Of course, we will show off points before tomorrow night's race during the pre-race show. Of course, Stapleton not faring too well here to start off the season, but again, it is very, very early on here in the 2025 Pepsi Cup Series year. So there's still a good amount of time to at least try to get some good finishes, try to get some good momentum in your favor, and try to hope and pray that you can get some good momentum heading in, basically progressing on through the year, I should say. But for Nathan Stapleton and NS Racing, I have a very good feeling that this is going to be the case here, because Stapleton is a two-time winner here in the series. Of course, with other drivers that he has a lot of star power over by his team. Of course, with Zachary Fitzwater, a very successful driver in the NR community. Noah Clifton as well. He has 2 wins to his name here in the Pepsi Cup Series. One right here at the Rockingham Speedway, and then another one on the dirt at Bristol. And then right here, Andrew Miller in the number 96. He wound up starting full-time, replacing Madison Tall just 2 years ago in 2023. And here he is, of course, getting a pretty decent start to the season. I would have to assume. But as far as this race goes, I think this is going to be a pretty good race. This might be very entertaining to say the least here. So definitely going to have to watch out and see how this goes. Of course, all 3 rounds will be 10 minutes each. So not as much time as the part-time drivers had to come out here on the racetrack. And as you notice, the sun has come out. So there is going to be a lot of drivers slip-sliding around. And the times are not going to be quite as fast, at least 2/10 off from what we saw during the part-timers knockout qualifying session. Kyle Craven goes to the top with a 23.530. Trailing behind Michael DeFeo, making his second Pepsi Cup Series start. Honestly, I do want to say this is honestly super impressive to see Michael DeFeo in another Pepsi Cup Series race, at least the second one in a row. You know, he's done an absolutely amazing job to start off the year, and looking to try to continue his momentum throughout the 2025 season, starting tomorrow here at the Rockingham Speedway. I'm very happy to see that this team have a lot of success. Zachary Fitzwater, I want to say, to the top of the charts. If we can find him, he currently holds on with a 23.478. Where is Zachary Fitzwater? There he is, right here. Remember, it's the top 24 that move on over to round 2. So, of course, the driver holding on to that final transfer spot would be the 34 of Alexander Rowe. Not anymore. It's Tanner Parton in the 07 machine with his 23.655 currently. So, top 24 looks like this. Closing in on 5 minutes remaining. Of course, Zachary Fitzwater holds on to the top with Bruno DiGiacomo in second. Then third would be Ryan Little. Fourth would be Kyle Craven. Val Mosca would complete the top 5 with Wyatt Walker 6th. Valkyrie Atiki in 7th. Braden Perez 8th. Noah Clifton in 9th. And then rounding out your top 10, that would be Stephen Colon in the 25 machine. 11th, Ryan Gundillo. Then Nathan Stapleton 12th and Bobby McGuire 13th. He would advance on into round number 2 with Russell Blaze in the 14th position. Then Andrew Ramsey, Wayne Lopez, Michael DeFeo, Zachary Taylor, Reagan Whitlock, and Campbell Marsh completed the top 20. And then the final 4 drivers that would advance on to round 2, that would be Roberto Crown Jr., Rogel Dorn, Sebastian Vaughn, and Abby Walker holding on to that final transfer spot with a 23.645 to her name, as Fitzwater still holds on to the top spot as of right now. So he's in a very good position to move on to round 2. Here's Nia Steidel in the number 6, of course, running full-time for Elijah Gordon Incorporated. Now, again, there are the rumors still kind of circulating. They're not 100% true. They're not 100% confirmed yet, but there are still more to come, possibly with her going over to McGuire Motorsports maybe next year or even 2027, depending on what their plans are if they do go full-time in 2026. But currently, as of right now, Steidl running under the Elijah Gordon Incorporated banner. But as far as this qualifying session goes, not faring too well as of right now. 23.918 for Nia Steidl. So definitely not too good here for the number 6 machine. And she's definitely going to have to start in the provisional spot along with Quentin Moore. Actually, wait a minute. She just improved. A 23.659. That was a very massive improvement. That was a massive improvement there for Steidl, but not quite enough, as I think we had an accident during the qualifying session. Contact there between Parton and DeFeo. Of course, with Parton trying to get into his pit stall. But how about this, though? For Nia Steidl, and I believe we might have just found the culprit for the damage and the wrecks that we saw during round number 1 Of course, during this round of qualifying, there's Emily Anderson in the number 4 machine. Lots of damage to both sides of her race car, so she is definitely going to have to get repairs done. Now, we don't have that rule where if you do make repairs, or if you get out a backup car, you forfeit your qualifying position. We don't run that rule, so for these drivers, they will be able to keep their qualifying positions and will be able to not have to forfeit their spots, basically, if they pull out a backup car or repair their race cars. Steidl falls back to 29th, but as of right now, she's currently 5 spots out of the top 24s, but although she improved her position on the leaderboard, she unfortunately it's not enough for her to advance on, so she's going to have to pick it up if she wants to move on into round number 2. Otherwise, she would be starting 29th in tomorrow night's race. But the benefit, though, for her is that she would be starting on the inside line. Now, the inside would typically be the best way to go, especially for this place like Rockingham, where there is fresh pavement. This is relatively fresh pavement. And usually the bottom at a place like this would be the preferred way to go, so might have to watch for that as the race goes on tomorrow night. Ooh, a little bit of scuffling there as everybody's trying to take evasive action of Eric Monaco, who makes his way to pit road. And there's Bobby McGuire in the number 3 machine, pulling up to the back bumper of Nia Steidl. Currently sits 14th on the charts with a 23.602. So, as if this weekend can't get any better, and it is thus far, though, for the number 3 machine, and of course for McGuire Motorsports altogether. Unfortunately, Janiah Hill failing to make the show. She can still cheer on Bobby McGuire from his pit box, and hey, that's love right there. That's love. That's all I can tell you there. 1 minute on the clocks, of course. So, of course, for Nia Steidl, she still has just a little bit of time to probably put down at least one more good lap. But even with an added 20 seconds, I don't think that would be enough time. So, heading down the back straightaway through turns 3 and 4, she is unfortunately going to come down pit road, so I'd say as far as for Steidl, it would be game over as far as her trying to advance into the top 24. So she will more than likely have to start 29th. As far as everybody else, they will have to start in their respective positions unless if they can actually pick up their times. 10 seconds remaining, and it looks like it pretty much will be official as far as the drivers advancing on over into round number 2. So your top 10, of course, within this top 24 that will move on will be Zachary Fitzwater, Bruno Giacomo, Ryan Little, Kyle Craven, along with Val Moscow completing that top 5, Wyatt Walker, Valkyrie Atikian, Braden Perez, Noah Clifton, and Jerry Rose. They all will advance on into round number 2, along with the other 14 drivers that we're going to reveal here in just a little bit, as those times are pretty much official for round number 1. Of course, Stephen Colon will advance on, along with Ryan Gundillo, Nathan Stapleton, Bobby McGuire, Russell Blaze, Andrew Ramsey, Wayne Lopez, Michael DeFeo, Zachary Taylor, Reagan Whitlock, Tanner Parton, Campbell Marsh, Roberto Crown Jr., and Rogel Dorn holding on to that final transfer spot, advancing on into our second round of knockout qualifying here at the Rockingham Speedway. As far as the drivers from 25th on down, they will have to this is pretty much where they're going to start for tomorrow night's race here at the Rockingham Speedway. Of course, Sebastian Vaughn would start 25th with Abby Walker, Caleb Rose, Jordan Sumner, Nia Steidel, Alexander Rowe, the top 30, then Anderson, Ray Atikian, Eric Monaco, Skylar Taylor, Joshua Cornish, Quentin Moore, Bonsignor, Miller, Abel, Phillips, the top 40, and then the provisional starters would be Terry Walker and C.G. Holt. That would make out the 42 car field from 25th on down to 42nd. Well, with the top 24 pretty much set, we're going to take another quick break and get the 24 cars that advanced on over into our second group. So stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are getting ready for round number 2 from here at the Rockingham Speedway. Round 2 of knockout qualifying. Of course, we now know our top 24 drivers that have made it to this point. Now it's all the fight to get into the final round to decide the top 12 that will be going for the pole for tomorrow night's Pepsi Cup Series race at the Rockingham Speedway, the second outing for the series, the Verizon 400. First car out on the racetrack, that is Bobby McGuire in the number 3 machine. So far, keeping the momentum going as far as, you know, making this race goes. And then, obviously, you know, with the success story of you know, just making the show, and now here he is. He made the top 24 to get into round number 2, and now here he is trying to fight for a spot to go for the pole in the final round. Starting time as of right now, that is a 24:167 for Bobby McGuire. Other cars making their way out on the racetrack. Of course, Nathan Stapleton is out there. Here comes Braden Perez, and as well as the 86 of Rogel Dorn. He just barely made it in by the skin of his teeth. Rogel Dorn, who won a McDonald's Cup Series race at the Kansas Speedway last year, trying to get into the get into the top 12 and go for the pole here in this year. Of course, now driving for Durrani Racing. 2 out of their 3 cars are currently in this second round. Of course, Rogel Dorn here in the 86, and then Russell Blaze in the number 69 machine, the prime Ford Mustang. Currently, Blaze holds on, would be holding on to a transfer position, 39.371. That time is going to more than likely change across the stripe. And it did. He's third quickest with a 23.826. Well, now fourth, as these times are going to keep progressively changing as all these drivers get on out and lay down laps. Braden Perez, speaking of, just went to the top with a 23.673. How about that there for Braden Perez? Stapleton jumps up to second with the 69. Well, now getting kicked back to fourth as Campbell Marsh goes to second with a 23.708. The American Motorsports entry. 2 out of 3 are currently in this session. Kyle Craven being the second that made it on here into round number 2. Russell Blaze to the top of the 23.602. And he right now is fastest by at least 7/100ths of a second. There's Michael DeFeo in the number 60, made it on to round number 2. Trying to get that best possible starting position here for tomorrow night's race at the Rockingham Speedway. Stephen Colon moves up to third with a 676. Rogel Dorn sitting in fourth with a 688 to his name. Wyatt Walker goes to fifth with a 706. He's tied with Ryan Gondillo. Not for much longer, though, because Bruno De Giacomo, with a fast-looking hot rod for Appalachia Motorsports, goes up to second with a 642, a 23.642, currently 4/100ths of a second off of Russell Blaze's time. So now pretty much with closing in on 5 minutes remaining, the top 12 currently goes as follows. Of course, with Blaze sitting on top with a 602, a 642 for Bruno De Giacomo. He's second with Braden Perez third, Stephen Colon fourth, then Rogel Dorn completes the top 5, followed by Zachary Fitzwater sixth, then seventh is Zachary Taylor. Or 6th is Zachary Taylor, 7th Wayne Lopez, 8th is the 00 of Jerry Rose, Wyatt Walker 6th, 9th, and Ryan Godot at the top 10. Campbell Marsh and Ryan Little hold on to those final 2 spots to get into the final round for knockout qualifying. Of course, drivers outside looking in, that is Bobby McGuire. You also have Reagan Whitlock, who's down all the way at with a 721, tied with Nathan Stapleton. Then there's Roberto Crown Jr., there's Zachary Fitzwater in the number 98 machine. currently holding on to 17th with a 7:31 to his name. With under 5 minutes to go here in this session. Ended up starting off the session pretty hot. Ended up going with the fastest time to getting into round number 2, but something amiss here on the number 98 Pertec machine that has relegated him currently back into the 17th position. But still a great effort nonetheless here for Zachary Fitzwater in the 98 machine. Still looking to add a WRLA win to his name. Last year, he recently just added a NRLOA McDonald's Cup win to his name in very dominating fashion at the Watkins Glen International. So looking to try to bring that momentum back over here to the WRLA and try to basically try to repeat that momentum and, of course, amplify it times 10 here for this 2025 season. Still 17th currently as of right now, but if he really wants to go for this pole and try to get in that top 12, he's going to have to pick it up here. He might try to see if he could get a little whiff of the draft here off of Russell Blaze. Now, at a place here like Rockingham Speedway or Las Vegas, which we're going to later, draft really isn't going to matter too much. But then again, these cars, with the way that these cars are set up and with the way that these packages are pretty much produced, these cars are going to be pretty close together. But which is going to make it a little bit easier for Zachary Fitzwater, of course, who would potentially start 17th if he doesn't make it to the final round. He would start 17th, and he would still have somewhat of a chance to progress his way up through the field. I know when we go to Las Vegas, those drivers are going to be, these cars are going to be bunched up together, so that's going to be action that you probably won't want to miss. But it is going to make the racing just a little bit more interesting with these cars a little bit closer together and a little bit of a tougher time to try to break away from one another. So at a place like Rockingham Speedway, we are going to get definitely going to get a pretty good preview of what's to come throughout the 2025 season for non-restrictor plate races like Daytona and Talladega, and if you want to count it, Atlanta Motor Speedway. So with 2 minutes to go here in this qualifying session coming up on 2 minutes to go, Russell Blaze holds on to the fastest time still with the Giacomo second. Perez, Colon, Dorn, Taylor, Lopez, Rose, Walker, and Gondillo right now holding on to the top 10 spots, but still tied with a 7:06. Of course, there has to be at least a few millionths of a second difference between Wyatt Walker and Ryan Gondillo. And as of right now, Campbell Marsh and Ryan Little hold on to those final 2 transfer spots, 1/1000th of a second out of the top 12. That is Bobby McGuire. But still, even if he doesn't make it onto the final round, still a very good showing here for McGuire Motorsports, finally making a Pepsi Cup Series race. Doesn't matter if it's with either Janaya or Bobby or both cars. They are actually getting a very good starting position here in 13th, which will put him on the inside of row number 7. So definitely a very good effort here today for Bobby McGuire and the McGuire Motorsports team. And they will definitely get themselves a great starting position. Pretty good starting position heading into tomorrow night's race at the Rock, which you can catch tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time live on Twitch. 197 laps of action tomorrow night. That is going to be some action-packed racing that you're not going to want to miss. Taylor ended up getting by McGuire and Perez like it absolutely was nothing. Zachary Taylor, there is actually a pretty decent chance he might have just unloaded a pretty fast hot rod for tomorrow night, but as far as the final round goes, we're just going to have to find out if that hot rod is going to manage to sit on top of the pole position. With 15 seconds remaining, doesn't look like there are going to be any further changes inside of the top 12. We're going to keep an eye on this, on the final 2 transfer spots, to see if there's going to be any switches, any switch-ups here. with 23 seconds left on the clock. I'm pretty sure everything is going to stay the exact way that it is currently. So from 13th on down, that's where they're going to be starting in tomorrow night's race. And as far as the top 12, it is going to be Russell Blaze, Bruno Di Giacomo, Braden Perez, Stephen Colon, Rogel Dorn, Zachary Taylor, Wayne Lopez, Jerry Rose, Wyatt Walker, Ryan Gundillo, Campbell Marsh, and the number 27 machine of Ryan Little, all moving on to the final round, and they will be going for the pole for tomorrow night's second race of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, the Verizon 400. This is actually going to be very interesting to see how this final round is all going to shape up. Of course, with 12 cars, and this is going to be pretty cool. This is going to be pretty good. So, of course, from McGuire, Whitlock, Stapleton, Crown, Fitzwater, Ramsey, Parton, Moscow, Valkyrie Atikian, Michael DeFeo, Craven, and Noah Clifton. That's where they're all starting for tomorrow night's race here at the Rockingham Speedway. And ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to this point. We now know your 12 drivers that will be going for the pole position. Who's going to sit on the pole for tomorrow night's race from here at the Rockingham Speedway? We'll find out after this quick break to get the 12 cars ready to go.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. This time it is for the final round of WRLA Pepsi Cup Series knockout qualifying from here at the Rockingham Speedway to set the rest of your starting lineup for race number 2 on the Pepsi Cup Series schedule. And I just realized that we are not currently rolling, and now we are. So this is going to be pretty interesting. We now know our 12 drivers that will be fighting for the pole position. Now it's all down to who's going to start on the pole for tomorrow night's race here at the Rockingham Speedway. Nobody has elected to come out just yet. So this is actually kind of an interesting start to the session. First taker is going to be the 69 of Russell Blaze. Jerry Rose will follow. He's going to be the first out onto the track since he does have a much closer pit selection, of course, to the exit of pit road. But as far as for Russell Blaze or even Jerry Rose, they're trying to go for their first Pepsi Cup Series pole. This is definitely a very good showing here for Lightstar Racing Co. and their 00 machine of Jerry Rose. So definitely great effort here, regardless of the fact here for Jerry Rose and company. As they race, as he comes off of turn 4 this time by. Starting lap here for Jerry Rose is going to be a 24:161. Blaze follows it up with a 24:076. More times are going to get added here in just a little bit. Wyatt Walker rounds off the final corner to begin his qualifying lap. Walker, who is also another driver who has yet to add a Pepsi Cup Series win to his name. Recently, of course, wound up winning was essentially the final NRLA McDonald's Cup Series race at the Homestead Miami Speedway. That was when his then teammate at the time, John Andrews, went on to win that championship in a very dominating fashion. But here we are, here at the Rockingham Speedway. He's trying to go for, I would believe, to be his first Pepsi Cup Series pole here at the Rock. There's Wayne Lopez in the number 1 machine, currently the lone EGI car in this field that is going for a front row start, or at least a pole position to continue on a very, I'd say, a pretty decent momentum driving here season for Wayne Lopez and Elijah Gordon Incorporated. Of course, Claire Phillips and also Wayne Lopez. Both of them ended up finishing inside of the top 5 to kick off the 2025 season. Of course, Claire Phillips coming into this race as the points leader. So a pretty good start for Elijah Gordon Incorporated as far as 2 of their cars are concerned. Of course, Emily Anderson and Nia Seidel, unfortunately, on the other side of the spectrum as far as the points are concerned. But still very, very early here in the season. So a lot can happen, especially in the early going. Currently, with 6 minutes remaining here in this final round, Jerry Rose, he's currently holding on by at least 1/100th over Zachary Taylor, who has brought in a very fast hot rod. He finished the session. He finished round 2 in 6th. And now he's currently holding on to a 2nd place starting position for tomorrow night's racing here at the Rock. Campbell Marsh, Wayne Lopez to the top with a 23.684. That is 7/1000ths of a second better than Jerry Rose. How about that for Wayne Lopez, trying to put car number 1 in position number 1. Zachary Taylor says not so fast. He's 7/1000ths of a second faster than Wayne Lopez. What did I tell you about Zachary Taylor unloading a hot rod here at the Rockingham Speedway? I thought it was going to be Bobby McGuire, but no, boy. It was Zachary Taylor at the end of the day. He's still holding on to his 677, but he's got to hold on to that for at least another 5 minutes. What a time. What a turn of events here in the halfway point here of this round. Of course, Jerry Rose looked like he was going to hold on to that pole position start, or what? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Then it changed hands to Wayne Lopez, and then the next lap, before you know it, Zachary Taylor finds himself at the top of the charts. The top 3 all separated by 7/1000ths of a second. Campbell Marsh right now holding on to 4th. Then Gundillo completes your top 5 with, of course, Rogel Dorn in 6th. Then Russell Blaze would start 7th. Ryan Little 8th. Bruno DiGiacomo 9th. And then, of course, the 25 of Stephen Colon, he would start in the top 10, of course, in position number 10. And then Wyatt Walker, Braden Lopez would be starting in the 6th row here with 4 minutes remaining here in Pepsi Cup Series knockout qualifying from here at the Rockingham Speedway. And boy, oh boy, what a day it has been for qualifying. Of course, the first time that we're running this format for all 23 races. We ran it for a little while. We ran it actually back at Daytona for Daytona 500 knockout pole qualifying. It actually is proving to be actually a very, very effective format, to say the least. So far, of course, no changes inside of the top 10. As of right now, Rogel Dorn still holding on to a 6th place starting position for Durrani Racing. And then, of course, 7th would go to Russell Blaze. So very good performance here in these qualifying sessions here for Durrani Racing. And they are looking, and of course, with really good starting spots, they are also looking to, of course, try to get their first Pepsi Cup Series win. This is still a very fresh team. Of course, American Motorsports has been around since 2020 when they were formerly known as All American Motorsports, with Jack and Al Lagasse, as well as Derek Edison as that 3-car team, shrunk back down to 2 cars with both Al and Trey Lagasse, and now scaling back up to a 3-car operation with a fully different driver lineup in, of course, Kyle Craven, Alexander Rowe, and also the 38 machine right here of Campbell Marsh, who would start 5th in this race because Ryan Little just jumped up to 3rd. He is currently 3rd quickest with a 6:89 to his name. That is 2 1,000ths of a second faster than Jerry Rose, and currently 5 1,000ths of a second off of a front row start, but a podium start nonetheless is currently looking to be the case for Ryan Little. He's trying to get his season turned around already, currently at the very bottom of the point standings, currently holding on to a singular point to his name. Definitely not the way he had imagined his season starting off here for Vision Motorsports in their first Pepsi Cup Series outing, along with Tanner Parton, who were unfortunately failed to make the final round of qualifying, but I think he might have also failed to make the first round too. I can't even remember anymore because it feels like all the rounds have meshed together. 1 minute remaining though, nonetheless, and currently Zachary Taylor's 23,677 has remained untouched. I have a very, very, very good feeling that Zachary Taylor is going to be somebody to watch out for here in tomorrow night's race. Unloaded this race car off the truck very bad fast. With 30 seconds left on the clock, Wayne Lopez would be holding on to a 2nd place starting position. Ryan Little would be 3rd. Jerry Rose, hey, I mean, you got to say, though, you got to give Lightstar Racing Co. a good old pat on the back. You know, they definitely put it all together, especially for Jerry Rose's machine, and still a great effort here, nonetheless, for the Lightstar Racing Co. operations and Jerry Rose's and the Jerry Rose camp. But with 15 seconds remaining on the clock as far as the added time goes, I don't think it's going to be enough time for any of these drivers to get better laps. Unless if you're Wyatt Walker, who jumps up to 5th, knocking Campbell Marsh out. It's not going to matter, though, because it is official. Zachary Taylor will start on the pole for tomorrow night's Verizon 400 race number 2 here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Not Jerry Rose, but Wayne Lopez will line up alongside. Ryan Little, Jerry Rose would make up row 2. Walker and Marsh row 3. Row 4 would be the Ryan Gondillo and Rogel Dorn. Russell Blaze and Bruno Di Giacomo will complete your top 10 and will lead the rest of the field to the green flag for tomorrow night's race at the Rockingham Speedway. Of course, Stephen Colon, Braden Perez, both of those drivers, both teammates will be lining up in the 6th row. Still a very great performance, very great showing for Colon Motorsports, as they're going to nab some pretty good starting positions heading into tomorrow night's race from here at the Rock. And that is going to do it here for Pepsi Cup Series qualifying from here at the Rockingham Speedway. Huge congratulations to Zachary Taylor for winning the pole by 7/1000ths of a second over Wayne Lopez. And that's going to do it for Pepsi Cup Series qualifying from here at the Rock. And tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live over on Twitch, will be race number 2 of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. That's going to be fun, and we're hoping that you guys are able to tune in to that event. But with that said, have a great night, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you all tomorrow from here